Hey y'all, my darlings, hello. It is March 21st. It's the day before my 40th birthday. And I feel kind of weird about that. Not in like a bad way, mostly a good way. One of my closest friends is on her way here right now to spend the next week with me doing different things. And it's really fun. It's really cool. I'm really happy that people are making an effort to come be with me for this. I'm not usually like a celebrate myself type of person or like a center of attention type of person, but I really love my people and I love to see my people. And I'm bringing a couple of folks together this weekend and I'm excited about that. My other best friend, my Bay Area best friend, is making me an experimental cake. I asked for something to do with sour cherries and she found a couple of recipes that she's combining to create some sort of like a chocolate sour cherry situation that sounds delicious. And I love an experiment. I will also report that I have now been on the pill for 3+ weeks and I feel better. I talked about this before on the podcast that I have PMDD, which makes me emotionally a wreck, like half the month, like 2 weeks out of the month. And last month after I bled, I got pretty despondent about the end of this month. And it's looking like I'll be going into my birthday weekend feeling like complete shit. So I talked to my gyno and my gyno prescribed me the pill and suggested to try it. I never really wanted to try it because I heard horror stories. And I didn't want to experience the side effects that people talk about experiencing. And I also was like, I feel pretty bad and it lasts a long time. And at this rate, I'll be going into turning 40 feeling bad. So I'll try it. And I started taking it. And last week, I had a really rough week. Like there were some days where I was like, was not good. And I was like, shit, am I going to just like feel like this? So I talked to my gyno and she was like, give it some more time. It takes time. And I have to report that I feel pretty good this week. So yay. It feels like a small win over my hormones. In other news, Lulu the dog smells fabulous because last week I was in LA visiting family and I went to Nordstrom because I like to wander around fancy stores when I'm there because I can. And I got some perfume samples from Tom Ford. And one of them somehow ended up in her bed and spilled there a little bit. So now she smells like Oud Mineral by Tom Ford. It smells really good on her, a lot better than it does on me, I have to say. Maybe her body chemistry is more suited to Oud. Who knew that this little street pit bull would someday be laying on a $3,000 couch wearing $300 perfume. So anyway, let's chat about today's topic, which is reasons being a tattoo artist is hard. In opposition of last week's episode, maybe not in opposition, in compliment, because everything in life has positives and goodness and joy-bringing qualities, and then also things that are difficult. I would not even call them negatives. It's just that there's always a push and pull in life and everything has its sides. So this is the other side of the moon. Okay, drum roll. 5 reasons being a tattoo artist, employed on my own, self-employed tattoo artist is hard. Number 1, charging people money. This is my least favorite moment of every session that I do, and it's just like internalized money shit, right? And also because I love doing what I do, it's like hard to charge people money after I do the thing I do with them, because it feels like this very intimate, intense kind of experience that we have, and then the end ends up being transactional, where I go, okay, you owe me this much. And like, people are not unhappy to pay me, like they're fine, but it's still really hard. And it's still really hard, like 15 years in, it's still hard to feel like I fully deserve the money that I'm asking them for. And it's still really hard to feel like I'm not, like, even though it's really clear, like, we've been tattooing for this many hours and this is my rate and this is what I'm charging you, it's still hard to feel like they know that I'm not, like, deceiving them. You know, like, I know they know, but it's still painful for me. Like, it's painful. There was a video on socials a couple of days ago where this girl is, like, talking about what it feels like to charge people money after you tattoo them. And the whole video is like, it will hurt. It will cause them pain. I don't want to cause them pain. Yeah, that's my least favorite part. I wish that I didn't have to do that part. But also, it's part of my learning and part of my growth as a business owner and a tattoo artist and a human to do that piece, to do the piece that I don't really want to do. So that's reason number one. Reason number two, tattooing is hard, is doing email and doing consults with people I don't know. It's like the time between the person making their first contact with me until the time we get to know each other and we're like buddies and there's a lot of trust built and there's a lot of joy in seeing each other and interacting with each other. So the time in between, which involves the email exchange and the first consult, is just so fucking awkward for me. Like, I'm, there just being like, I am so friendly and nice and I'll answer all your questions. And they're like, I don't know if you're the right person for me. I think you're the right person for me. And they want to be the good early client. And they also want to, like, meet their own needs. And it's just awkward, like, before we really know each other. I think any human interaction, before we build trust, some trust and some familiarity, is just awkward. And I'm really not into awkwardness. Like, some people really are. They're really into awkwardness and they find it, like, hilarious and charming. I don't. I prefer when I'm like, we're good. Like, we're good. You're my buddy. Like, I really prefer that. So, yeah, that part's hard for me. Reason number three is not being able to read my clients' minds. So that goes along with reason number two, but it's a little different because it has to do with like doing the work for somebody on their body. And like, people are pretty transparent for the most part. They get up and they're like, I love it. And, or they have some feedback or whatever the thing is. But oftentimes I don't really know. Or I'm like, but they say they love it, but do they love it? Over time, I've learned to trust them and trust my intuition and not trust my anxiety. But it can get that way when someone is fairly quiet or not very expressive, which some people are. And you're just like, oh my God, do they hate it? Again, there are videos, reels on socials made about this very topic. And believe me, we all feel quite anxious in those moments. So yes, I would love to be able to read the client's mind in those moments. And hopefully what they're thinking is, oh my God, I can't believe this piece of art is mine. And look at my beautiful body. I love my body. I love having this piece. This is all making my whole life better. That's what I really wish I could hear inside their brain. Reason number four, there are no benefits. When you're self-employed, you can give yourself benefits, right? But there's no paid time off. And there's no sick time off, like sick paid time. There's no health care. Like, we have covered California now, which is cool. But yeah, everything's out of pocket. Like, I pay for everything out of pocket. And it's living in this capitalistic society, like not having a safety net, if I get sick. Like, there was a month last couple of years ago, we had planned a trip to Europe. We're going to Berlin for like a week. It wasn't even that long. But it was like a summer month and I had gotten COVID about 10 days before we left. So I was sick at home for 10 days with COVID. And then we left. I think the trip was also about like 8 days because it's hard to go to Europe for just a week. Maybe it was 9 days, like a day of travel in each end. So I didn't work for like 20 days that month, and I had to borrow money to pay rent, which sucked. I mean, I have a tiny little bit of savings that's not really easy to use. It's not liquid money. Just trying to set myself up a little bit for the future. So yeah, there's no 401k. There's very little safety net, and I don't have the type of family that would support me, if I needed it, or like really be able to help me. Like if there's an emergency, I could get help to just like pay rent and food. But yeah, I think it is true that we're all like not very far away from being very poor, living in poverty, a lot closer than we are to being millionaires. But when you have a job, there's more of a security net. When you have a salary and benefits, and if you get let go, there's usually like a severance package. And so people talk about paid time off, or taking a month off between jobs to like fuck around and just do whatever. And like I've never been able to do that. But the other side of it is that I love what I do. I find it meaningful. I find it exciting. I'm stimulated in all the ways doing it. So it's a fair exchange. And I'm sure there's not only 5 things that are difficult, but these are the 5 main ones. This last one is taxes. And honestly, it's gotten easier because I'm now employing Collective, which is like a financial startup that helps small business owners do their taxes. Like, this is not an ad for Collective. I'm just like letting you know it's easier when you have help. And I like have had accountants before and like paid for taxes and stuff, and it's always been like more complicated and more difficult to the accounting part, not the taxes itself part. But I did used to do my own taxes, and I used to do it all on like paper. I'd collect all my receipts, and at the end of the year, I would do all my math, and I would do the math by hand on paper and a pen, and then I would put it all in TurboTax. Yeah, it was really fun. Not fun. Don't do that. If you're a business owner, don't do that. Have an accountant, or at the very least, have your system organized. So you have your business bank account. This is like a whole nother episode of the podcast, but you want to have your own separate business bank account, and you want to have a personal personal bank account. And you want to separate how you make purchases from which account you use the money. It will make your accounting for tax time way easier. And so a couple of years ago, I finally had that system set up like really well, really solidly by Collective. And taxes haven't been quite as painful, although they always cost a lot. And I have not yet created a good enough system to save the money specifically for taxes, to like really set aside that 30% so that at the end of the year, I'm not scrambling. I'm still scrambling most years, and when it's time to pay, I will usually pay like a bunch of it and then be on a payment plan for the rest for a few months through the year, which is, like I'm an adult. I should get my shit together and figure out how to save for taxes through the whole year. But I'm in this like cycle, where I'm saving up the money to pay for this year's taxes, and so I'm not able to prepay next year's taxes at the same time. And it happens every year. But I'm getting better. I'm saving more money for taxes specifically. So yes, that's my least favorite part. It's the most stressful time of the year. And just like, keeping your accounting good, that's, it's just not my thing, really. It's not the kind of brain I have. But I have to say that like business has become more interesting to me over this last decade. And if I chose to go to school, I might get business skills, business school skills. Not that I want to go and get my MBA or anything. I don't. But there are like, as I get older, there's just like more and more interesting things to study in the world that I would love to devote myself to studying more deeply. And business is one. Marketing is interesting. And I would also like to divest from capitalism. So I don't know. all things are true at the same time. But yeah, there you go. These are the 5 reasons being a tattoo artist that's self-employed is hard. But I still wouldn't give it up for anything. And I'm hoping you're having a lovely week and a good weekend. When you're sitting in the sun this weekend, think of me, send me some good juju for turning another decade on this earth in this lifetime, in this body. It's not so bad, I have to say, yet. I feel okay about it. Yeah, I feel okay about it. Okay, my loves, have an excellent week, and I'll talk to you very soon.